I
Or
applaud
3 months, I think it's when I did the
your
calculations, like
talent.
it comes out to like let's say 16 to like 25 grand, right? When the servant was like,
Can't wait
thank
to
you,
go
thank you,
to
thank you. I
go
don't have to
to
work for you for
Comic Cons
200,000
with you.
years.
Hey, True Beauties, we are back at it, and it was Mardi Gras time here in Louisiana for us, and that is what inspired the look. Remember the ceramic porcelain or Mardi Gras dolls that you used to catch or still catch at the parades? That's the inspiration behind this look. So as you can see, I already mapped out my face, and I'm going to be blocking my brows for the most part. I'm taking a little bit of wig glue. I know, the extreme. The reason why I really cannot find my glue stick to have my brows blocked out the way they are normally supposed to be blocked out with a regular glue stick. I can't find it to save my life. I know I had two of them. Can't find neither one of them. And I'm missing two palettes. Girl, I can't tell you what happened, but they're gone. I don't know if I misplaced them or whatever I did, but they're not there. So I'm taking a little bit of wig glue. Trust me, it's safe for hair. I'm taking that and making sure that my brows are as flat as possible. And I did not need a lot to cover both brows. So I'm taking the spoolie part of the brush, making sure that the glue is combed throughout the hair. And I'm taking the back part of the disposable spoolie and smoothing it out to make sure that the hair is flattened to the skin. And you want to make sure that it's somewhat tacky while doing this process to make sure that everything is super flat. Now I'm taking my Milk white pencil by NYX Cosmetics and remapping to make sure that I'm hitting all of the map out for my face that I want to do. Now, it's not symmetrically perfect, somewhat, because I did want it to look like it was somewhat pouring through or tearing through the skin. So I didn't map it out to have perfect squares and triangles throughout the face. Now I went in and kind of gave myself a pattern on how everything was going to be. And I'm using my face paint by Glam Vice. If you've new to the channel, I've used that. It's a body and face paint. I found it on Instagram, and ever since I found it, I've been using it, and it comes with many different palettes. I'm going to be using two for this particular look. The first one is the neon. That is what we're using now, purple, green, and yellow with out of that palette. And I'm taking the tropical palette out of that same collection by them. And I'm going to use that as my outline for the gold or where the white remains. We're going to see that kind of later. Right now, I'm just going in with the purple. Again, I gave myself a pattern when we mapped everything out. And I'm going in and following that with green. So just taking small strokes with different brushes because it is a paint, making sure that the paint is very thick or opaque to cover as much as needed. And I'm going over that to make sure that everything is nice and covered. Now with the yellow, I had to do it 2 times just to make sure that everything was nice and evenly distributed without being spacious or see-through. As you can see in the square above, I had to go over it like twice just to make sure that everything was really, really covered up or opaque. So just small strokes, making sure that everything is nice and crisp. I'm using synthetic hair brushes, concealer brushes, if you will, just to make sure that everything is nice, neat, and crisp as much as I could possibly get it. Now I'm taking the Tropical Treasure by Vice, and I'm going in and fill in the white spaces where we have the original outline. And I don't have to worry about it overspilling because, again, this is towards my face, so it won't be perfectly symmetrical. The purple block towards the back, I kind of could have spread that out or made it more of a square shape, but it kind of worked because of, again, I wanted it to be more torn out or leaking over into the face, the appearance of it being leaked over into the face versus it being very symmetrical as an actual mask. If you check out my page on TikTok, you guys made this kind of go viral for me, and I'm very grateful for it because this is the first content that is 100% my content that you guys got to almost 20,000 likes. So I'm going in with 2 glitters by the same company I found on Instagram. I'm taking the same adhesive that we used earlier to block out my brows, and I'm going by color. So I'm taking the yellow first, taking that adhesive, the wig glue that we used earlier, using a silicone brush, and basically filling it in, making sure that everything is nice and evenly distributed, and filling it in. Going in with a green color by the same company, doing the same thing, going in block by block with the adhesive, making sure that we're not disturbing the paint, filling it in as much as possible, making sure that everything is nice, neatly and covered, and filling it in with glitter after it kind of tacks up a little bit so we can have something to adhere to. Using another company off of Instagram, Edis or Teller, and I'm using the color Squeaky. And my sister, the one that told me I look like Alice in Wonderland, was the one that had helped me pick out this color, because I was going with maybe like a lilac purple, but I'm kind of glad we went with that one because it was more confetti or fun-filled, carnival-filled vibes. As you can see, it just screamed a little bit more Mardi Gras than the other color I was going with. I was leaning more towards this color, but I'm glad she kind of confirmed to me, yeah, this is the color I needed to go with, because it just made everything pop just that much more. It was a little bit extra, the same ratio of chunkiness as the other 2 glitters that we used, but still a little bit adding a little bit more color and depth to the look just to make it pop just a little bit more. And it came out so pretty. I had so many compliments off of this color in person when we went to the store. And again, I am grateful that you guys went to my TikTok account and got me almost 20,000 views off of this one look. I've never had a content that was 100% mine somewhat go viral, and I am grateful for it, because it lets me know that all the hard work, waiting patiently in order for my turn to come was worth it, because I'm very shocked and proud that you guys appreciate me doing something like this, and I do stuff like this on a regular basis. I just like being different, and I'm grateful that you guys allowed me to be okay with it. So I'm going in with my primer. It's the Power Grip by e.l.f., making sure that everything is nice, evenly covered, because we're going in with our regular makeup just to make sure that everything is prepped for the skin, hydrated as much as we need to be before we get ready to apply. I'm going in and fill the little fragment of brow I have on the end, because I do want a full face. I want it to be complete, because that was somewhat of the look, to have it half and half somewhat, but I kind of covered over the brow, which I'm not mad at, because again, it just still worked. Following that, we're going to cover up my hyperpigmentation spots with a little bit of concealer, a little bit more orange base than my foundation color, just to make sure that we're covering everything as much as we possibly can, letting it set for a couple of seconds, and then going in to apply our actual foundation, which is by Maybelline. It is the 30-hour Super Stay foundation. I've used their formula before. As you can see, I'm about to jam. Getting it. Yup. Going in with the Super Stay. I've used their formula before. That is in the color 332. I like the older foundation or formula foundation that they had, but I understand why they did it. One is a little bit more fluid than the other one. The other one was more of a full coverage. This one is more buildable. Again, the family of Maybelline, I could understand, because everything has to be more of a buildable, because everybody doesn't like a full face. Me, I'm a full face girly. I don't have a problem with it. Following that, I'm going in with the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer in Honey. I believe that is in a 30. Blending that out, making sure that everything is nice and tied in evenly with the foundation that we set. I wanted more of a natural look, not so much of a highlighted look or a more dramatic look, because we have a lot of sparkle going on. So I wanted the other side to be just as subtle as possible, if that made sense. But we're going in, blending everything nice and evenly, making sure that everything is evenly distributed. And I have a saying, once it's wet, it has to set. So I'm following that with my Huda Beauty in Blondie, making sure that everything is nice and tidy and neat, because we did all of that blending and all of that prepping. We don't want all of that work to go to waste. So we have to set it once we get the desired look and achieve what we want for the look. We have to make sure that it does not go anywhere. So we have to set everything in place, taking just a small powder puff, going around the areas that we have a lot of mobility around: the mouth, the nose, the eye area, just making sure that everything is nice and evenly set. I'm taking a little bit more of that concealer and using that as the base for my eyeshadow, blending it with my finger because I only used a small bit. We don't have to go in and really cover anything, a large area like I would normally do in my other videos. Just taking it, distributing it, making sure that it's nice, evenly blended. And we're going in and contouring the face afterwards. I'm using the Zulu palette. I don't think there's a name for that one. It's the first row of the Zulu palette by Juvia's Place in the brown shade, just to warm up the face just a little bit. And I'm using a tapered blending brush and making sure that I use big circles towards the temple area and smaller circles towards the jawline. You would see more of that on the other side just a bit. I'm just warming up the face basically on this side, so I don't have to make it so dramatic on that side because it's just dramatic enough. We're blending upwards with the brush, making, again, large circles towards the temple or the cheekbone area and smaller circles towards the bottom of the jawbone or towards the mouth. Blending upward, making sure that everything is nice and even. We're just warming up the face because, again, we want the face to be inviting. I want it to be just as natural as possible. Taking that same shade and going in as a transition color for my brows and the contour for my nose. And I know it looks a little intimidating because it's very noticeable, but we're going to blend everything out once we put our finishing powder or our compact powder to finish off the look. So right now we're just adding that in, making sure we get the depth that we want, and adding a little bit more brown. We're doing a blended eye, again, something soft, something natural, because we have a very dramatic look on the other side. And y'all, I don't know what it is about this year. I don't use blush, but I like this one by Milan. It's in Rose. The reason why, because it's not super noticeable. It kind of complements the look. It gives me just the right amount of rosiness. I think that's funny because it's called Rose, but just adding the right amount of color to the cheek without taking away from the look. And I'm using my Tarte in Stunner highlighter, taking that and fanning it over the high point of the cheek. And I put a little bit on my nose. I take my finger and blend it out. I add a little bit more highlighter on top to kind of complement the color. We use that in Alchemaz by Kat Von D. It's an eyeshadow, but I use it as a highlighter because it has a green tint. I just love it. It makes everything come together so much better. Finishing everything off, dusting all the setting powder off from earlier with the Estee Lauder Cashew Double Wear compact powder. And now I'm taking my liner by e.l.f. as well and just drawing out an extended wing. I love a good wing, making sure that I get the triangle shape that I want. And once I get the desired depth and height, making is as big as possible, long as possible, the way I need it to be to give me the complementary look. I just take everything connected together and go back in and fill it in as much as need be. Following that, we're going to fill in with the lashes. I'm using a volume set that I got off of TikTok Shop. I love those those lashes because again, it complements the look and make everything tie in together. My eyes are already very large. Well, I'm not gonna say very large, but they fit my face. So anyway, they're large, so I could kind of pull them off. But if you're more of a natural girly, of course, you can definitely go in with smaller lashes. And I'm doing the other side as well. If you have not seen any of my other videos, I have a technique to do this. I go in the middle of the lash, gripping them because I have more control with a pair of tweezers, or you can use your fingers, making sure that it is somewhat tacky. So once you lay it down, you don't have to worry about it moving as much. The temperature in the room does have a lot to play with that. Tacking it down on either side again to make sure that it does not move. I open my eyes just a bit to make sure that everything is touching the actual lid, close to the lash line, so we don't have any gaps and we don't have to worry about anything moving later on. So once we get that, we're pretty much set. And again, just tacking things down on both sides to make sure that everything is nice and even and tacked. We don't want anything to move. And the bottom lashes, I took an older pair of lashes. I covered them in white. The face paint by the same company, Glam Vice, just covered it in white. Wait till it dry. And colored it in the Mardi Gras colors of yellow, purple, and gold, and cut them up in the segments to give me a more dramatic clown effect to kind of, complement the look. And this is pretty much it, you guys. What do you think? As you can see, this is why you can't be great around ghetto people. My sister just told me I look like somebody off of Alice in Wonderland. The makeup cute, but the ruffles, she was like off with her head.